I'm with you.
And
I'm
this is
cooking,
Pastor
so
David. He's
I'm
my
running around cooking a little bit, so y'all forgive me. I don't have my camera on.
okay. This is Pastor David. He's our friend that drives up from Georgia to come and be with us in October. Very good, dear friend, pastor, brother, mentor, all of the above. But
I
all right,
got your invite, April. I'm gonna do everything I can to be there.
I know. All right, it's 7 o'clock. We are getting ready to start. I think we're getting ready to go live on Facebook and YouTube. So welcome to our weekly Love Circle Talk. I am April Chambers. I am usually your host, but tonight we have the wonderful Mrs. Jennifer Reynolds tonight. And I am, as I was saying, I am April Chambers, the founder and CEO of Angels Haven. We are a nonprofit organization, and our goal is to just help individuals who are suffering in silence, dealing with partner abuse or what we call domestic violence. We know domestic violence does not discriminate. It holds no color, no gender, no whatever your sexuality is, no matter how big or small or little or great you are. We know it doesn't discriminate, and we know that domestic violence is an epidemic that was going on long before the pandemic. And this support group was started a little over 5 years ago during the pandemic, when we were in close proximity with our abusers, and the statistics were sky high, and domestic violence was high. And I thought, well, we can't see each other in person, but we can see each other online. And so I started the support group on every Saturday, a little over 5 years ago. And then the ladies and gentlemen asked, hey, can we do this more than once a month? And so about a year, we've been doing it once a week, every Thursday, a little over a year now. So we're here every Thursday, same bat channel, same bat time, same username and password every Thursday. And then on Saturday, every last Saturday, which happens to be this Saturday, there's a different password and username. All that information can be found on our website. I'll also put it in the chat for those of you who are on Zoom, but we can be found at angelshaven.com, all up and coming events. And what I'll say briefly, we'll be here this Saturday at 6 p.m. on Zoom. It will be live. It won't be live this week because this is our actually group session this Saturday. So those who are listening, we are in chapter 7 of your workbook of Love Yourself. And so we will be working in chapter 7 this Saturday. And then we'll be back next Thursday. But what I wanted to do is just show a brief video just to give people an opportunity to get in the room. It's about 1 minute, and it is about mental health. And if you give me 1 second, those of you who've been here before know I am technically challenged. So just give me a moment to share my screen. Give me 1 second. I think I'm doing it right. So let's just hope we get things.
Something we all have. It includes our thoughts and feelings about. Mental health is something we all have.
Can you hear it?
It includes our thoughts and feelings about ourselves and others, how we relate to other people, how we function day to day, and how we cope with the ups and downs of life. Having good mental health is not about having no mental health problems. It's about feeling good enough about ourselves, being able to do the things that matter to us, and having the resilience to deal with the difficult situations we all experience in life. When talking about our mental health, it can be useful for us to think of it like a scale. Our mental health scale will move towards good or poor mental health, depending on what's going on in our lives and the supports we have around us. There are things that can challenge our mental health and shift the balance of our mental health scale. These challenges can come and go over time. They may be brief or may last for many years. They can leave us feeling stressed, sad, worried, lonely, overwhelmed. Mental health difficulties rarely just have one cause. They're often an understandable response to having to deal with the circumstances of our lives and things that have happened to us in the past. While there are things that challenge our mental health, there are also things that can support it too. These things won't necessarily prevent challenges to our mental health, but they can help us cope with what life throws at us. They can help us achieve balance in our mental health scale. Mental health can be complex because our experience of it is personal and unique. But we know that the more we normalize conversations about our mental health, the easier it will be for young people and adults to seek the support they need when they need it.
St. Jude Partner in Hope is a monthly donation and it's part of my regular monthly budget. One of the main reasons that I support St. Jude as strongly as I do is because they're
Okay. This is why I need a whole person. Hold on. Okay, I think I did it. Okay. All right. And so because May is, and we're almost at the end of May, is Mental Health Awareness Month, I wanted to bring awareness to mental health because it's very important to me. I know when I came out of my situation a little over 25 years ago, we weren't talking about mental health like we talk about it now. And Lord knows if I had had some of the resources that are available to us now, I think I would have come a lot further in this healing journey that I'm still on. I was telling Jennifer earlier, I still see my therapist and I see her twice a week. I'm sorry, not twice a week, twice a month. Woo, I was seeing her twice a week at one point. Trust me, trust and believe. And so I've graduated to twice a month. And trust me, it's been a journey, but it's been a wonderful journey. It's been a painful journey. So I will be transparent and honest, but it's been a helpful journey. And it has definitely helped me heal from the inside out. And I was telling Jennifer, I will probably be in therapy until the day God calls me home because it helps me. It helps me stay grounded. It helps me stay focused. It helps me to be able to do what I do and not just here, but just in life general. Jennifer and I were talking about life be lifing. I went to a funeral this morning and I helped bury an 18-year-old, my best friend's son. So it's very hard for me today. And so I said, I needed this space, not just for you guys, but I needed this space tonight and to really understand and take care of my mental, to take care of my mind, my body, and my soul. And that's what mental health awareness means to me. And so I am going to introduce a little bit our guest tonight. I know her as a friend. I know her as a wife first, and then a mom. But I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. And she is, I think, one of the founders and owners of Copious Life. Her and her wonderful husband, who's also a therapist, and they are connected to Angels Haven. Matter of fact, if you need therapy, go on our website and click on our services, and you will be able to click right on to Copious Life and make an appointment. So if you need it and you're in the DMV area, feel free to. This is a wonderful group, as you will see tonight. When Jennifer speaks. But what it says is that with over 8 years of experience as a therapist, I have had the privilege of helping teens and adults navigate life challenges, heal from past wounds, and create meaningful change. My work is rooted in compassion, collaboration, and belief that everyone has a capacity for growth and transformation. And so I'm going to let Jennifer come to you in her own way. We will have room at the end for questions. Remember, this is not therapy tonight, but you can make an appointment with her or your own therapist, and we want you to do that. But we're going to have her come in her own way. Again, if there's questions, feel free to put them in the chat. She will leave her information for those who are on YouTube listening and Facebook Live. For those who have never thought about therapy or thought about life coaching, I'm also a certified life coach. So we got you in all areas tonight. There's no reason for you to walk away tonight the same way you came in. So if you want healing, if you want to start healing, and yes, it sometimes can be hard, but it is necessary and it is absolutely worth it. So without further ado, I am going to welcome the lovely Miss Jennifer Rounds.
Thank you so much, April. I just want to take a minute just to thank you for all the work you have done just this labor of love, right, that you have done, all who you've helped, and just creating this space and, inviting me to this platform as well. So thank you for that. I truly appreciate it. I just want to start just by talking about kind of an overview of mental health. But before I even get into that, you don't have to, put this in the chat if you don't want to, but I do want to take a few seconds to ask you a question. And I want you to think about it. How many times in just this past week, it is only Thursday. So in this past week, has someone asked you, how are you doing? And without even thinking about it, your automatic reflex was, I'm fine. Or just busy, tired, anything like that. Just think about that. Is it every day? Are you at work passing people, back and forth and, oh, I'm fine, doing good. But what is that
This meeting
really?
is being recorded.
So I want you to take a sec just to think about that. So we live in this, and I asked you that question about how many times just in a few days, someone has asked, how are you doing? And that instinct of I'm fine has come up for you, because we live in a culture that really does treat busyness like this badge of honor and burnout like a status symbol, or even like an expectation. Think of taking time off, right? And the conflict you often feel trying to do that, or the pushback you might get when trying to request that. We have this massive reflex to mask our struggles and put on this brave face, even behind a screen, like today. But today I want to offer you and invite you and just give you permission, give all of us permission to just take off that mask so that we can talk about what's actually going on underneath. Because normalizing the fact that it is completely okay to not be okay is the very first step, and really breaking that stigma that keeps us so isolated and so bound to that sense of strength, that strength of busyness, or those obligations. So to understand how we get to that point, we have to change how we define mental health. A lot of times we treat it as if it's in a category. I'm either good, all the way good, perfectly healthy, or I'm clinically ill, right? We oftentimes just have these two boxes when we think of mental health, but that's not how human beings work at all. Mental health exists on what can be called an invisible scale. So think of it as this fluid scale, and every single person on this call, every single person on the face of this earth moves along that scale every single day. So where you sit on that scale is going to shift constantly based on life circumstances, also based on biological factors and daily stress levels, even stress levels throughout the day. So no one is fixed in one spot. I'm good, I'm fine, forever. Or maybe I'm broken, right? And I'm just stuck. No one is stuck there. So you can have a great week, a tough month, a heavy season, and then find your footing again. So we're all moving on this scale together. You can have a really awful morning, and that can shift as well, just depending on a lot of things. So just keep that in mind. So now, because we're constantly moving on this spectrum, our minds, our bodies have developed a system to let us know when we're sliding into that dangerous zone, into that, hey, that red flag, that yellow flag zone. Think of this as your internal check engine light. So think about a car. If you're driving and that little light turns on that dashboard, you are going to know. You're going to pay attention to that, right? We're not going to hit that light with it's fine. I'm okay. We might just till we get to where we have to go, but that's going to be something we usually prioritize. If you don't, I would encourage you to, just in case. So this means something is going on. So similarly, think about when you have, if you feel or experience physical pain, there's a very big difference between I have a headache, maybe I need to eat something, and I've had a migraine for 4 days in a row. We pay attention to that. So in the same way, pain can be invisible to others, yet we feel it physically is the same thing when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to our emotions. And I want to encourage you to approach it in that same way. Just as you would be concerned if you had that migraine that knocked you down for 4 days in a row, same thing. When that scale shifts, even if it shifts to something's just off, when that happens for so long, then we really do want to look into that. Those things can look like sleep. Sleep is going to be the first thing to be impacted when something is off. So looking for changes in sleep patterns, looking for irritability, in the small things. A lot of times we don't fit the textbook for what it might look like to be depressed, to be anxious, because a lot of times we have to do that next thing. So you need to know what your baseline is and what might feel a little off kilter for you. That's going to be really important. For everyone, sleep is going to be impacted. What you do with that really does depend, on the person. Do you push through? Are you just completely exhausted? Can you just not move? Can you just not do anything? Thinking about irritability shows up, which makes sense. Is it over smaller things than it used to be? It can also look like chronic fatigue. It can look like brain fog, right? It can look like suddenly wanting to pull away or withdraw from the people we wouldn't normally do that with. So this isn't a simple, I've been around people all day, I just need to decompress. This looks very different. This is something that is out of your norm. And
Jennifer, I'm gonna say something be very transparent here. Within the last few years, when my stress level is high, I work out in hives.
Wow.
And so that is my body telling me
Absolutely.
something's going on. You are internalizing some stuff, and now it's coming out on your skin. And I thought I did all these skin tests and did all this dermatology. And then when it kept coming back during certain seasons in my life, my primary care said, this is hives. You're stressed. So I just wanted to throw that out there because this is what's going on with April, right? And so I don't know if it's happening to anybody else, but that's when I needed to check in a little bit more with me and with my therapist, because I wasn't dealing with some things that I needed to deal with. And I was dealing with them internally and was coming out. So I don't know, I just want to throw that out. I don't know if somebody else is dealing, with something like that, but stress kills. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna let you take it, Leah.
That part, no, thank you so much for that, April. And that brings up such a good point, because our emotions are not separate from our bodies. Just like your migraine is not separate from the rest of your body, it's going to impact you. And absolutely. And I bet there are a lot of people who have gone to their doctor. There's something wrong with my heart with something, or the ER. I get that a lot with clients. I was in the ER, stomach upset, whatever it might be. And physically, all your systems check out, but those emotions are absolutely manifesting in a physical way. And again, this doesn't mean failure. What your emotions are, they're information. We don't usually get that piece. What we learn emotions to be are things that might get in the way, things we don't have time for. No, your emotions are simply information, every single one of them. There is no such thing as a bad emotion or a wrong emotion. They're giving you information and they're motivating you towards some sort of action. Hive, stress, motivating me toward, yikes, I got to do something different. And that goes for every single emotion. It's just communicating there's some sort of need. So I use these two categories when it comes to emotions. Either I'm good or I'm not good. Everything you feel is either communicating my needs are met or my needs are not met. You're experiencing anxiety, then that's a need for some sort of reassurance or some sort of security, right? It really does depend on the situation, but I also want that for everyone on this call, for everyone who will hear this, to change your relationship with your emotions. Your emotions are information. Now, that doesn't make all of them based on whatever's happening. It doesn't mean that they're based on the facts of whatever's happening. You know, I could be going for a walk and then be terrified because I see a snake. And when I jump back and look again, oh, that emotion was like, hey, pay attention. Turns out it was a stick. Oh, it wasn't. So I'm thankful for that, right? It was a stick, but it's still something to pay attention to. So, and that's another important thing, and it's a little tricky, is to know that every emotion you feel is valid because it's giving you information. You see it telling you, hey, we got to check in a little bit more on this. We got to slow down, or we're feeling good. Let's keep it moving. You know, so changing that relationship with emotions. And this is not something we're often taught. We're not taught what to do with these things. If anything, we're taught put those away because there's stuff to be done. But life exists with emotions. I can experience my emotions and still get done what I need to get done. So those emotions that kind of flare up, those ones that are communicating there's a need, treat those as warning signs. Be curious about those. I often use the analogy of treating emotions like fear, anxiety, sadness, guilt, shame, anything like that. Treat it like you would like a 4-year-old who comes to you terrified, right? Genuinely terrified. Most of us would not be like, no time for that right now. Go get your ABCs out, right? Usually, I know for me, I'm crouching down. Whoa, everything was just fine. What happened, right? I'm making eye contact with that 4-year-old. Are you okay? And oftentimes that's our inner child who we have to soothe, and we have to allow to express the things that maybe they didn't know how to express before. But now we have the words. So that's how that healing begins to start. So whenever you have an emotion and you're like, it doesn't feel good. I don't really like this. That's okay. They don't always feel good. They sure don't, but they're important, right? To give that time and that space when you're able to. Now, if you are in the middle of a meeting or something, you're not able to, then the task is give me a few minutes. Or you know what? I'm going to revisit this later. What was that? Somebody said this or heard this and rage. I just felt rage. What was that? And then that circles right back to the benefits of therapy, right? To be able to process what was that, figure that part out. Because pushing it away, that's not the answer to it. I actually had a client, after having this conversation, she said, oh, so it's like holding this beach ball under the water. And I'm fighting and I'm holding it and I'm keeping it down, but then my arms get tired. Exactly. Right. So we have a choice. We can continue this relationship we have with emotions, keep them over there, push them away, and seeing how it's impacting you, or we can do something different. You know, so the hard work in therapy is you making those hard choices. You know, whenever anyone's ready for therapy, that's my challenge to every single one of my clients. Yes, we talk about it. And then what hard choice are you going to make when you do feel that guilt? You're going to beat yourself up because that's familiar and that's cozy, or you're actually going to challenge it and move toward some sort of change, some sort of growth, some sort of healing as well. So really want to plug that as far as emotions, because I think that is so important. And I also just want to normalize that if you struggle managing your emotions, it's not you being broken. Likely it's just you not having the skills to manage. That's all it is. And we just need to get those. No different than, I mean, I could cut my grass with some scissors. Not going to. I'm gonna figure out another way. So, in that same way, we just need the skills and we just need the tools. So when you feel something that maybe it's a lot of anxiety and you're not sure why, maybe you're irritated at that smaller thing that usually wouldn't bother you. Start by asking, what makes that make sense? Well, I'm exhausted. I've only been sleeping 2-3 hours and it's been interrupted sleep. And work is insane. Like I have all this stuff to do, right? I am overwhelmed. That's what makes it make sense. And then what though? Because for my clients, what we're not going to do is we're not going to sit up here and just stay in that space. We're going to make choices to address those things, right? So that you could show up in life in the way you want to show up, so that you can have the relationships you want to, and they're not impacted by the irritability that might show up or by the brain fog. So you can be there, you can be present, right? In the moments you want to. So that becomes really important. Another thing that I see a lot is that burden to be a fixer. I'm not going to ask anybody to raise their hands, right? I'll just raise mine. Who has a tendency to be that fixer, right? So the problem is that I believe, I believe that many of us who have logged into this meeting today, we're fixers. Right? We're the anchor for our families. We're the reliable ones at work. We're the people that everyone's leaning on. Their worlds are crashing down. That's all right, I got you. And there's a genuine heart of care in that. We just need to guard that heart with carefulness so that we don't end up getting washed away and being put into this role where it is easier to help others than look inward and figure out where I'm struggling. So we don't want to internalize that or continue to internalize the belief that true strength means just enduring this load, silence, checking in on everyone else. I also want to normalize, we don't know. And when I say we don't know, that's when you have that thought, I don't want to bother them. They're going through so much already. I want to talk to somebody, they don't have time. Let them make that decision. In the same way, you would likely make time for those you care about. People who care about you will make that time as well. You let them decide. You sit with the discomfort of, I might be imposing. Good, impose, and let them let you know if they have to call you back in 10 minutes or if they will make that time. Right, so just to be real about it, like true strength is not carrying this weight, right, that's breaking you down, that is breaking your back, that is thankless. The strength is the courage to look for the support you need and to say, this is too much. That's the true strength. The true strength is, I'm really used to just go, 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 and I'm going to do something different. And it's going to feel really uncomfortable. Right? That's where that strength comes in.
Jennifer, learning that no is not a bad word.
That part. And guess what? And you know what else no is? A complete sentence. I love it. It's not a bad word. Yeah. And guess what? Because every emotion we feel is valid and is giving us information, when you say no, full stop, and you feel like everything twisting aside because you want to justify or you want to like, well, maybe I'll accommodate and make it work. Sit with that. That's okay. That feeling won't last forever. That's another thing about the things that we feel. They are like waves. Emotions are like waves in the ocean. They come and they go, even the biggest ones, right? They rise, but then they do fall again. And I think when you feel like you are maybe stuck in an intense emotion, maybe you feel extremely depressed, extremely anxious, I would encourage you to sit and ride the waves, because it's not until you feel like, it's at a 10, all right, now it's down to a 4, that you'll actually realize, okay, it's not always at a 10. I did have that little break where it was at a 4. so you don't just feel like you are in this constant state. We do get breaks. It's just, we just have to start paying attention to those as well. So yeah, I really appreciate that, April. No is not the bad word. So when I'm talking about how our bodies respond, that's our nervous systems. Let's normalize trusting them. Let's normalize taking care of them, because taking care of them doesn't mean not doing anything. I can take care of my nervous system and also go to work and also be that person who really does well at work and recognize, okay, I need this break right now. So when we don't do that, that's when we get stuck in that fight flight loop, right? And when we're in that loop, we can't problem solve, and it just repeats, and we can really get kind of tangled in that. We're reacting to like these endless, overwhelming feelings. That's where we notice those physical manifestations of emotions. So this is not a whole, this is all in your head by any means. Chronic stress, emotions, they are very, very real. And most of us are used to it. If you think of the scale of 0 to 10, I usually use 0 as far as emotional intensity. We're sleeping at 0. Nobody's walking around at 0. We're at a 1 out of 10, so we don't get hit by a car when we're crossing the street. That's important, right? That matters. But most of us are waking up at like a 6 out of 10. And my ability to manage my emotions, to seek help, breaks down at like a 7 or an 8. So if I'm waking up at a 6, I don't have a whole lot of room. So that one small thing happens and I have even less room. And now I'm overwhelmed. And that's for everyone. That's not just because you are in a season, a really difficult season. That's for every single human. You get to a 7 or an 8, it's going to become extremely difficult because you're going to get stuck in that fight flight loop. So what do we do about all this? We have to start practicing true self-preservation. Like, I'll just say for me, I can get a little tired of hearing the phrase, self-care. So I prefer self-preservation. And that's that idea of, right, you got to put your mask on first before you can help the others. So those two things can be true. I can help you right after I put my mask on. So, and that begins with boundaries. We tend to think of boundaries, or maybe we've been taught that boundaries equal selfishness. Maybe, we think that boundaries are like cutting people off, or they might be malicious, or that we have to reach a breaking point before we can insert any sort of boundaries. Absolutely not. I want us to start thinking of boundaries as preventative medicine. And the same way we take some vitamins, and the same way you might, get a flu shot or anything else, that's what boundaries do. I want to normalize not reacting and then changing things because you've hit that breaking point, and changing your lifestyle a little bit to become self-preserving. Right? That's how we address that chronic stress. And that's how you preserve your peace. Peace doesn't mean everything in life is fine. Peace means, okay, I can handle this. Peace means I'm not at an 8 out of 10, right? So I can handle all the stressors life is throwing at me. Peace means I'm at a 5 or a 6, and now I can handle it, because when I woke up, I really was at a 1 or at a 2, and it truly did take some time to get there. So that's what that peace means, for sure. So you simply cannot, I'm sure we've heard that saying, pour from that empty cup. We just simply can't do it. And we try, but I imagine you squeeze that cup too hard, it will break. Right? You will destroy the integrity of that cup. Let it be plastic, right? Something, that cup will not remain the way it needs to be. So, and then where do we go from there? It's seeking that support. So whether that is talking to a professional, whether it is just being honest with trusted friends and stop with the I'm fine, because that's not a sign of weakness. I tell my clients when I get the I'm fine, fine is frustrated, insecure, neurotic, emotional. Next time I'm fine, I want you to think about that. Fine is not a word. It's not truly describing what's happening with you. You're a human being and you deserve to be able to say, I'm feeling stressed right now. This morning was okay. I'm looking forward to whatever I have going on later. But right now, not feeling so great. And that's okay. It's not weakness. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with this. Ultimately, all the emotions you feel do not mean that you're broken, no matter how much it doesn't feel good to feel them. When you go to a therapist, the goal, I will speak for myself, the goal is not always to make you feel better. The goal is to make you better at feeling, because life is gonna life. And that's what I need you to do, is become better at feeling. When you go to a trusted friend, that can help you to become better at feeling. Those are those important parts. Those are the things that get us unstuck, that can break those chains of just be fine. The world needs you to be fine. Work needs you to be fine. And you know what? It's okay if you're not fine. Because if work needs you to be fine and you keep pushing yourself and squeezing from that empty cup and that cup breaks, work is going to be like, that is awful. Who's going to get this assignment done? And that's something to really remember.
Jennifer, one question that was proposed to me was that what can they do if they know they need therapy, but they don't have the courage to make the phone call? What would you tell that person?
You can not have the courage to do something and do it anyway. You just like you could be not in the mood to answer that phone and you answer it anyway. So I find that to be very powerful, just holding two opposite things that could be true. Your feelings don't have to dictate what you do or you don't do. You can make that call and on that call, I hate that I'm making this call, but I'm making it. So that's the biggest thing. You can really not want to reach out to that friend because you're reading their mind, thinking and deciding for them if they're busy, and still reach out. Those two things can be true.
Okay. All right. Well, I want you to let everyone know where you are, how to get in contact with you, your website, email address, how they can get in contact with you to make an appointment, to call and make that call. And I believe for those who are in the DMV, and then if you have access to the website where they can just find a therapist. If they're not in the DMV, I believe there's a website that they can look into for their area, because we do have people who are listening that are kind of all over. We have some on this line tonight, actually, that are in different states. But for those who are in the DMV and are ready to make that call, and trust me, if you make that call, it will absolutely change your life for the better. I've been in therapy a little over 16 years, been out of my abusive marriage a little over 25. And just imagine, had I been in therapy 25 years ago, I probably wouldn't still be in therapy 16 years later. But needless to say, that better late than never. But what I will say, and as I said earlier, it is worth it. It is necessary, because who wants to stay stuck in whatever emotion or feeling that you are? And for me, I always felt less than, and that it was something wrong with me, or the stigma, I'm crazy. No, ma'am, no, sir. You're not crazy to get help. It's crazy not to get help, as far as I'm concerned. But just talking and having someone that doesn't really know you, don't really know, anybody else to talk about, right? When you talk to a friend, well, they can be a little biased. But when you talk to your therapist or your life coach or all of the above, or your doctor, it's a little different. And sometimes, I will say, sometimes it takes a couple of therapist, it takes a couple of different cocktails or medications. If in fact you need that. And if you don't, I'm not pushing anything. I'm saying whatever works for you. I know what works for me is to stop internalizing it. And that's what I did for years. I just held things and held things. And that's sort of like my granny used to say, just sweeping it under the rug. Well, eventually you got to take that rug off, right? And then what's under it? Piles and piles and piles and piles. And sometimes we have to get through the layers of childhood up until this point, or sometimes to this point to childhood. But there is a root, and I'm not a therapist. I'm just a life coach. I'm just April, who's in therapy, have found that I had to go back and to my childhood. And it wasn't pretty. Some things that happened. It wasn't pretty. Some things that happened in my adolescent and teenage and young adult. Some choices I made that I shouldn't have made. Let's go there. But either way, some things did happen and I didn't know how to deal with them. Some traumatic things happened. Trauma happened. Triggers happened. And I didn't know how to deal with those things. And so being in therapy and even listening to Jennifer tonight, because if you have the right one, and I will say Jennifer is the right one because her voice is soothing. She's someone that you want to talk to, right? And it's easy to talk to. And so those are some of the things you want to look for, for those who aren't in the DMV and not going to, call Miss Jennifer tonight or tomorrow. But look for those types of things. Look for comfort. Look for something that's easy. And that's not, you don't want to be on a 10 when you leave.
Right.
So if you're on a 10 when you leave, then that might be a sign that might not be the right person. So I just wanted to, to throw out my personal experience and what I have had to deal with in the last 16 years. And I know it works for me, on top of having, a lot of Jesus in my life. We're not going to leave that out, but that works for me. I'm not pushing any religion, but do something, right?
And April, I will say, you mentioned I should have gotten earlier. Let's throw the shoulds out. That's how much stop shoulding all over yourself. It's messy.
You're funny. That is what my therapist tells me all the time. Can you stop shitting on yourself? And so I should know that. I had a sticky on my computer that said stop that.
Stop.
So thank you.
So, and I love how, I don't know if you caught it, but I love how you shifted from things I shouldn't have done 16 to things that happened. The shoulds just keep you stuck. It happened. It's there. And we are here now. So how do we deal with that now? So apologies for cutting you off, but just wanted to throw that in there.
No, thank you so much. And I just want to thank you for tonight, for taking time out of your busy schedule on top of being mom and wife and a full-time, therapist. You took time out and we appreciate you coming tonight. We do hope you'll do a part 2 before 2026 ends. This was wonderful tonight. But please give us your information. Let us know how to find you, website, email, phone number, all of the above.
Absolutely. Before I do all that, I do want to say, start where you are. A lot of times I hear, I don't want to go to a therapist or a new therapist because then I got to unpack everything and stuff. You don't always have to start from step 1. Me personally, let's start from right now, because whatever you have been through in life is going to show up right now. So if that is something that keeps you maybe from reaching out, because it can be overwhelming, right? We're on this call because we've been through some things, And so if that's the case, tell that therapist that. When you do, you're like, I don't want to make this call, but here you are on the phone making it anyway, because Jennifer was like, and you can still do it, right? And you make that call, tell them that. I don't want to have to dredge all this up. And then we start there. Well, let me give you some tools, because you're right. Dredging that up is not going to be fun. And no, you should not leave therapy on a 10 for sure. Therapy is a relationship, like any other relationship. You're meeting somebody. If there are not any complete non-negotiables, right? I would encourage you to let the therapist know, if a therapist starts a session with a bunch of questions and you're like, oh my gosh, every time you can mention that, you know what? I know we just met last time or two, you start with a bunch of questions. Can we start somewhere else? I can speak for me. I would want to know. Some would be like, absolutely. Now, I've also had clients say like, can we not talk about emotions? We can absolutely talk about why you don't want to talk about emotions. And then we'll
Love
come
it.
right back to it, because what we're not going to do is avoid either, but you can have those conversations. And I think that gives you information. If a therapist is like, no, I'm doing it this way, that gives you information as well. I would say the therapist I know, they do want to know. I am in therapy as well. Okay, so therapists, we are not all knowing. I'm in therapy once a week. Okay, it's life is lifing. So every Friday, I'm like, let's go. Where are we? Sign on. Let's go. So I think that is important as well. We are not these all-knowing people. We just want to help you, right? And challenge you. I'm here for the challenge, right? And create and walk alongside you. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about hard things. We could pace that for sure. And another thing is to be willing to be honest. I'm not, I said that softly. Don't go to therapy just telling your side and just looking for okay, because that doesn't help you. If every relationship in your life is ending the same way or it's the same conflict, just say that, put that out there. You don't have to know why or what it is, but put that out there as well. I'm arguing with my mom, my sister, my brother, my father, all those people. That's important information. Don't pick the phone up if you're not willing to be honest and being ready to really look in the mirror a little bit. Because therapy is not going to be about the people who are not in the room. And I work with people where the world has made it very clear that life has teeth from day one, and we can still deal with all that with them. I can't deal with fill in the blank from 30 years ago. I can deal with how that's showing up now and stopping you from reaching out and being vulnerable with people, or maybe reaching out to the wrong people, being vulnerable with those who maybe don't have your best interests in mind. So just wanted to put all that out there. So our website is copiouslife.com. I am licensed in Maryland and in Virginia. I do virtual therapy. So what else was it? So you can reach me via email at jreynolds, REYNOLDS, at copiouslife.com. If you're in a state where I'm not licensed, but maybe you have a question, well, how do I get connected? Or, any way I can kind of help get you connected, I will also be more than happy to do that as well. The website for therapists in general, the one that I personally like, everything has good sides, bad sides to it. The one that I like is called psychologytoday.com. What I like about that is it has a ton of filters on there. One, it has pictures. Let's be real, pictures are important, okay? Another thing is that you can filter it with your insurance. You can filter it, of course, location, the different type of issues you want to work on, male, female. You can filter it by race. You can filter it by, there's a lot by, religion is on there as well. So there's a ton of filters, and that's usually my go-to if I'm trying to help someone find a therapist, outside of the area. So that is psychologytoday.com. I would start there. There's also therapyforblackgirls.com as well. So that's another really great resource. So I would say that.
And copious, for those who need the spelling, is COPIOUS life.com.
Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. And you can also find Copious Life if you go to angelshaven.com, click on services, click on Copious Life. It'll take you right to their website. So feel free, if you're in a DMV, make that appointment. So if there are no questions from the audience and or from anyone online on Zoom, feel free. This is the time. You got about 10 minutes. Remember, this is in therapy. But if you have a question that you have for Jennifer, and it can be therapy related, but just know she's going to limit her answer, hoping you'll make a phone call. But if there is any questions, comments, or concern, or how therapy is working for you or not, feel free to use this time, and the floor is open. You can come off mute. And if there are no questions or comments, I'm going to give them a couple of moments just to gather their thoughts.
Okay. Well, you give them a couple moments. I will also plug. So if you haven't noticed, educating on emotions is I feel like that is very important. One emotion is anger, because we are usually very familiar with anger. Anger is an emotion that is 99% of the time triggered by another emotion. So I do want to encourage you. I use this visual called an anger iceberg, literally an iceberg, anger, and there's so many other emotions underneath it. When you notice you are experiencing anger, let that be a flag to say, hey, check in. What just caused that? Because I could be angry because I'm embarrassed, because I feel guilty, because I'm anxious, because I am afraid. Think of, you ever have a child almost running the street? Okay, I'm usually not like, I'm so afraid right now. It's not the response, right? That anger comes out first because it's so quickly triggered. And because most of us have learned other emotions aren't acceptable, anger is something we've developed because it is effective, right? And it protects us from vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, that also includes other emotions that make us feel vulnerable. So just want to throw that out there. As you are working through this, you notice that anger, what just caused that?
You know what? That gave me an idea. I think we might need to bring you back just to talk about anger
Yeah, that's it. Hey,
and
yeah,
do a whole workshop just on emotions. So
yeah,
let's talk about that.
yes.
But yeah, no, that's so good because we do have, and that's a lot of what some of the individuals who come weekly
Mhm.
have experienced, either as a result of anger or just angry with themselves or
Yeah.
angry with the person.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we don't deal with that anger. And
Right.
that is, and I never looked at it that way, that it's an emotion and there's other emotions under that. So this is good. This is good
And
stuff.
the thing is that anger is loud. Anger, you're gonna stop doing what I want you to do if I'm angry. When I say it's effective, it's because it's effective. But now we're dealing with the fact that I'm angry, and we're not dealing with the hurt that has triggered that anger, or that I've learned I'm not allowed to be hurt. So anger is what protects me. So I gotta walk. I think a lot of us can relate. We gotta walk around looking mad, right? To protect ourselves a lot of the times. So then, yeah, you kind of just mute all that you've experienced. Like that never gets voiced and never gets a space because that anger just takes over.
And while you say that, and so those who are listening live or who will listen to it later, those who have anger issues, that's a time to come to therapy too, to deal with that anger and where that comes from. And you may have done some things because of the anger. And maybe I'm talking to the abuser, maybe I'm talking to those who are abusing or have been abused because of anger. Don't feel like you're isolated and like you can't get help too. So Angels Haven, Jennifer, we're here, Pastor David, we're here to help everyone. We all have made mistakes. We have all done things we're not happy with, but we don't have to stay in it, right? Just because you did something that wasn't nice or wasn't right, doesn't mean you can't be forgiven, doesn't mean you can't change, doesn't mean you can't get help, doesn't mean you don't deserve help. So we're not just here for the survivor or the victim. We're here for the abuser too, right? You matter. What you did might not help. It wasn't helpful and it may have hurt, but there's a reason why you hurt. So I
Mhm.
don't know why God is bringing us here tonight, but obviously there's somebody listening or going to listen that you need to be forgiven too. You
Mhm.
need to get your healing. You need to
Mhm.
get your forgiveness, and you need to help so you can stop being angry and
Yeah.
hurting other people
And you
and
need
hurting
to,
yourself. For those who are angry with yourself and even hurting yourself or who want to hurt yourself or someone else.
Mhm.
This is the very reason why we're here tonight, not just because May is mental health awareness. For me, mental health awareness is 365 days a year,
Mhm.
right? because we are all dealing with something internally. It could be a happy feeling, it could be grief, which is what I'm dealing with today. And then tomorrow will be a happy feeling. But all these emotions up and down a roller coaster, this is why we need help. We need to talk. We need to talk it out and not sweep it under the rug, as Granny would say. So even if you're out here and you're the opposite end, of what we're talking about, you are eligible and you are worthy for therapy and for help and for healing. Everyone who's listening is. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you've done. You can heal.
I love
I'm
that.
gonna leave it there tonight. I'm gonna leave it there. All right, we are at 7:55. This is wonderful. I thank you so much again, Jennifer. Those who are listening in live, those who will listen later, just know that you are not alone, and that this is a safe space every Thursday at 7 o'clock and every last Saturday of each month. On Saturday, we will not be live. And when we are live, you can always take your cameras off. You don't have to talk. You don't have to chat. We just want you to be in a space that you know is safe. We want you to be in a space that know that you are heard, you are seen, so that you can know that you're not alone. And this is why I'm here every Thursday at 7 o'clock, whether no one shows up or not, because I wish I had this 25 years ago. And so I'm just trying to be a voice to those who don't have one and who can't talk right now, but to give them hope and to give them resources and encouragement to say, you know what? If she can get out, if she can be healing, I'm healing, right? If she can continue her healing, I can too. And so for those who haven't started the journey, please get on it. Get on it with me. I'll travel this road with you. It's wonderful. Learning how to deal with your emotions is peaceful. Learning how to just breathe and relax and just close your eyes and go to a whole nother place, even in a room full of people. And you can learn that in therapy. And so I'm not going to give it all away because I want y'all to make the phone call. But I just want to thank Jennifer again tonight. I'm thanking her in advance for coming back. I want her to check her schedule and let me know whenever she's ready. But tell your wonderful husband and your children I said hello. Hope to see you guys soon. Hope to see you in August at the health fair. And we'll talk more about that next week. But feel free to look at our website at angelshaven.com of all our up and coming events. And for those who are listening tonight, thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to listen. Thank you for taking the time out to listen and do, right? Just like the Nike commercial, let's do it. Let's just do it. Let's not talk about it. Let's just do it. So Jennifer, thank you again. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you and your husband for supporting us this last 5 years and the next 50. I'm gonna put it out there. So again, thank you so much tonight and for everything. And those who are on the journey of therapy and healing, stay on it. Stay on it. Not just in May, not just once, but stay on it. I know it's hard, but it gets easier. Trust me, it does. The smile will come back. The love will come back. The joy will come back. But you got to take care of you. You got to take care of you first. And it's so important. It's so important. So again, thank you everyone who are listening. And thank you, Jennifer, again. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. This has just been wonderful. I mean, just reiterating some things and telling me some things that I need to do too. Yeah, I'm still learning. And so I appreciate you tonight. Thank you, Miss Arlette, David, who got off. I appreciate you guys for listening in tonight. So I am going to stop the recording.
The recording has stopped.
And hopefully I will see you guys next Thursday at 7. And those who want to join us on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time, feel free to join us. And don't forget your workbooks. And we're in chapter 7. All right. Have a good night.
Bye.